Like most 20-year-olds, Bailey Paige loves a big night out. And like most 20-year-olds, he's on his phone all night, forgetting that at some point he's going to need an Uber to get home. But what if you ran out of charge? That can make for a long walk home. And that's exactly what happened to young Bailey, who, upon waking the next morning, hangover and all, goes ahead and invents the Zip Zap Charger, the world's first cordless mobile phone charger. It's a fully charged episode 636 of the 13-year-old award-winning Small Business Big Marketing podcast.
Well, I said, welcome to a small business marketing show where successful small business owners share their souls to take your marketing straight to the lead. Now, here's your host, Mr. Timbo Reid.
Well, I'm back from my European adventure and raring to go. More importantly, a warm welcome back to you and your weekly dose of rechargeable marketing. I'm your host, Timbo Reid, and I have an insatiable curiosity for uncovering marketing ideas that help businesses just like yours to grow. I do that through weekly in-depth conversations with successful business founders. You, infinitely more importantly, are a motivated business owner, ready to crank out some great marketing, build that beautiful business of yours into the empire it absolutely deserves to be. So, as per usual, team, there is marketing GOLD dripping from the ceiling over here at Small Business Big Marketing's HQ. So let's get stuck right in.
Yeah, g'day Timbo. Daniel Monday here from DPM Performance in Sydney, mate. Just want to thank you for your show over the years. It's helped me a lot. Probably the biggest thing was the idea and the encouragement to write a book. It's something I had on my bucket list a long time, and 5 years ago I was able to knock that off, so thank you. Been a lot of other small wins along the way, and just want to thank you for that. And I want to help encourage everyone to actually go and join your Patreon. It's for a bit of a free plug for that for you, because actually having some skin in the game, it helps make me more accountable and make me want to actually take action and do something. So I'd encourage people to do that. So dpmpersonaltraining.com.au. Better throw that in, but thank you. Appreciate everything you do. All right, mate. Cheers.
Hey, thanks so much, Daniel. Firstly, for being a long-time listener who implements the ideas shared. Well done on the book, by the way, brother. That's fantastic. And secondly, for the kind words you had to say about my Patreon, or exclusive business owner membership, as I like to call it. I love the fact that it's keeping you accountable. Now, having thought about launching it for quite some time, then doing the research amongst my Facebook tribe and email list to establish what areas they'd like me to cover, I've got to be honest with you, I'm pretty underwhelmed by the take-up. 39 members all up since January 2023, and a bloody big thank you to each and every one of you, most importantly. I won't rant on about it now in any great detail. I'll save that for another time in the near future. However, as someone who listens to this podcast and hopefully benefits from the free marketing information shared across 636 episodes to date, I would love to know what's stopping you from joining and supporting the work I do. I've got a super thick skin, so be as honest as you like, all in the spirit of helping me provide you with effective marketing ideas and inspirations to grow your business. That's why I do what I do. So feel free to hit pause and email me now at tim@timreid, reid.com.au. If you don't know what I'm talking about, basically, I've created a membership site that, depending on which level you choose, the most popular being Silverama at $49 tax-deductible dollars a month, no lock-ins, you get immediate access to 34 videos of me sharing marketing ideas I've seen on my travels, 11 posts showing behind-the-scenes moments from Small Business Big Marketing's HQ, 12 full-length video interviews with past guests, including leading SEO expert Harry Sanders, Mambo founder Dare Jennings, plus there's 9 productivity tool reviews to save you time and money. I'm adding new content every single week. Members get a seat at my monthly Ask Me Anything webinar. And you also get a thank you from me on air. To that end, welcome to the new members and thank you for your support. Robert Czar, Chris Sullivan, Brittany Bailey, Josh Brightman, David O'Malley, Ronnie, Nick May, David Kidston, Greg Soster, and Belinda Eden. Thank you guys for supporting the work I do. Everyone else, check it out at patreon.com/marketing podcast. Have a look around, see what's on offer. Then email me. If you don't join, email me, tim@timreid, reid.com.au, and tell me what's stopping you from joining. I am genuinely interested, and I'm always up for constant improvement. Righto, off my soapbox for now. Let's go and meet today's special guest. 20-year-old entrepreneur Bailey Paige's business adventure began at the end of a big night out with some mates when his iPhone ran out of juice. Trying to order an Uber ride home and not carrying a phone charger with him, he was left stranded with a big walk ahead of him. Waking up the next morning, a little worse for wear, Bailey decides to solve the problem, and the Zip Zap mobile charger was born, which unbelievably, can you believe this? It's a global first. Like, how had no one invented a cordless phone charger up until now? Incredible. So sit back as Bailey, now at the ripe old age of 22, shares how, without any technology or manufacturing experience whatsoever, went from idea to finished product, how he found a manufacturer who shared his vision and successfully navigated the treacherous waters of production. Oh, that sounds scary in itself. The mistakes he made along the way, as well as the challenges of developing a product to work in the Apple ecosystem. This is a great story of a young entrepreneur who is having an absolute crack, and you and I have got a lot to learn from him. Let's go meet Bailey Paige. My first question, brother, is how the hell was this not invented?
Well, I asked myself the same question. It's firstly, thank you for having me. It's great to be on another podcast. It was really fascinating to me because when I got online so a bit of background how my story started on a night out when I was 19 in Brisbane and Fortitude Valley. And as I was ordering an Uber ride home, my phone went flat. And, I was out with a bunch of mates that night, and then I'd been separated away from them. And, as soon as, my ride was on its way, phone went flat. And it's like, whoops. Yeah, whoops is a PG way of putting it.
Yeah. Had you had a couple?
Oh, definitely. Definitely. Yeah, it was like 2, 3 a.m. in the morning. And, it's like, what do you do sort of situation. Yes. I didn't have no one around me. So I ended up walking home that night, about 15 kilometres home in Brisbane, which...
Decent walk.
Oh, it took, a good
third of a marathon?
Yeah, it took about 2 hours to get home, which, it's not safe. And I thought to myself, I need something that's going to help me get out of a sticky situation. Mm-hmm. It's not the first time, my phone's gone flat, but, when you're out, it's a bit more emphasis on safety. Yep. You're intoxicated and all that sort of stuff. So I just looked online the next day at all the biggest companies.
Did you walk home fuming, Bailey? I'm gonna wake up in the morning, I'm gonna be hungover, but boy oh boy am I gonna invent something.
It was probably about half an hour in. I said, "Oh mate, this is a joke. It surely isn't that that complicated." So I looked at all the biggest companies here in Australia, like Apple, Signet, Belkin, Mophie. And just, search for cabeless.
Nothing.
And not one company here in Australia had anything remotely close. So I broadened my search after Australia and I looked on Amazon, eBay in the UK. They're a bit more present over in the UK than they are here in Australia. Alibaba, looked everywhere.
Nothing on Alibaba. That just does my head in. You must have just gone, well, either there's a reason for this or just no one's yet thought of it.
That's what fascinated me was it's such a simple concept, just no cable.
So describe it for those playing along at home.
So essentially what it is it's a small power bank that's the same width as your phone. Mm-hmm. If anyone at home has an AirPods case, it's virtually the same size.
It looks like well, I wouldn't say it's a bit bigger, but
a little tiny bit bigger.
It looks like an AirPods case. It's as wide as your phone. It's got a nice weight about it. Just plugs in.
Straight in. No, it's a very simple concept, and it's about half the size of your palm. So very lightweight, easy to put in your pocket or purse.
If I want to, then does it render not most, but headphones with Bluetooth, they still work. But if you've got cabled headphones, bad luck.
Exactly. So it works with, so it's a 3-in-1 charger. So it works with iPhones, AirPods, and Lightning connector iPads. Yep. So we're able to do every model of iPhone, which I think is pretty unique because it's such a broad, selection. And we're able to do all models of AirPods, and there's about 8 models, I believe, of iPads that still have Lightning connectors.
So Apple only at this stage?
Yep.
I want to talk about designing for Apple. So, but why no Android version at this point in time? I would have thought Android would be the easier version because Apple's a closed system.
It is in a sense, but with the story is I created this product to help get myself out of a sticky situation, and I never expected it to take off to the magnitude it has.
What, you were going to make one?
No, essentially it was the start. But, I thought to myself, well, if it's really a convenient product for me, I think a lot of other people would find this very convenient. Like, you show that to someone, would you rather a big brick in your pocket with a charging cord, or this that's half the size of your palm?
Because that's the option, isn't it? The option is one of those external chargers with a cable.
Yeah.
And yeah, like you say, much bigger.
Much, much bigger. And, half the time with, you got your phone, your wallet, your keys in your pocket, you got no space for it. Yeah. And people I've seen out in their back pockets, they're standing with a big cord out at a table, and it's just,
So why no Android?
So we've made an Android model. So from the feedback we got from the market, so as soon as we pitched it to the market, it got a lot of attention really early. And a lot of people reached out and said, hey, do you have an Android version? And originally I didn't think about it because I thought my main consumer would be young adults my age because we use phones, 24/7. But surprisingly it wasn't. And a lot of people reached out to us online and said, hey, do you have an Android model available? And I didn't at the time, and then literally just pitched it to my manufacturer saying, hey, can we make an Android model? And we've finished the design on it and hoping to launch it within the next month or two into the market.
Geez, you move quick.
You have to move quick. That's
Well, you do. Many don't. What's your trick to moving quick? Do you not see problems? Are you missing a gene?
Not essentially. I'm a big believer in, when the opportunity presents itself, you have to move quick because as fast as it comes is as fast as it goes. A good example is, just recently...
The media you're getting.
Just got on, massive media wave in the last 2 weeks, which has just been, I still can't comprehend how crazy it's gone. So a bit of backstory for everyone was...
Let's come back to the media because it is fascinating, and obviously that's how I found you, but you've been on... national media, and now you're on a global podcast. So things are getting better and better as we go, Bailey. But I do want to talk about that. But let's just get back to the product. So, so you have the idea. Android's coming along. That's awesome. I want to talk about designing for Apple. But how did you go from waking up the next morning with a raging hangover? Mm-hmm. You've had a great idea on your 15-kilometre walk home. Ideas are great, but action's required. Give us the next 2 or 3 steps that allowed you to get to where you are now.
Yeah, certainly. So, continuing on from my online search the next day, I sort of just researched, I thought there's an opportunity here for a product that I think could be really convenient for consumers of phones. So I looked on YouTube and just go, how do you create a product? And the first video that came up was an Alibaba. This is how you find manufacturers for whatnot. I didn't even know what Alibaba was at the time.
For those who don't know, it's just a massive worldwide marketplace of everything. Well, it's not the dark web, but it is.
It's basically the manufacturing platform of the world, is what I say. Whatever you want a table, you go straight to the source. Yeah. I found out about Alibaba that way. I then started just playing around on there, so just searching, and I searched power banks, and there's about 10 million manufacturers of power banks over there popped up, and it was sort of a dead end there for about a week. I don't know, what to do. So then sort of just started researching into what are power banks, how do they work, what's main components of them, how do they even technically work. And then I sort of just watch more reviews on Alibaba through YouTube of what processes you should look to do with companies and manufacturers, how to make sure you're safe.
Because you hear some horror stories. My immediate reaction to this is, oh, geez, because stuff coming out of China and all these other places, and you don't know the manufacturer, they could be having a laugh. They go, oh, here's another white boy coming along and, got his big invention. Yeah. We'll show him. But so how did you overcome that sort of fear and find someone that you could trust?
Yeah, so it was good so Alibaba has implemented a star rating system in the last 2-3 years, I believe. I could be completely wrong on that timeline, but so what it is they have an independent governing body come into every manufacturer that wants to register on Alibaba, and they independently review everything they do. So they look at, what do they produce, the quality of the product, how many employees, where do they sell, what's their turnover. Wow. They look at everything, and it's quite incredible how thorough they are with, all of their searches.
Added to that, is there third party? So do you get to that, now that you've got a manufacturer you found through Alibaba, do you get to rate them and give them a review?
I can.
So they've got two sides.
Yeah, so an independent and the review from the customer. Yeah, so it all comes together, which is awesome. I started searching power bank manufacturers. Every single one's, power bank with a cord, and, there's 1,000 designs out there. And I just started, shortlisting companies. So I think I got down to about 80 companies that I thought, from 10 million to 80. It wasn't that short, but it took me 3 months to actually find the manufacturer. So
hold that thought. You're about to find the manufacturer. How do you're disclosing, hey, you're ringing 80 companies and saying, I have an idea for a cordless power bank for iPhones. Yep. At that point, you've just given away your idea. I don't imagine you did a non-disclosure agreement with a lawyer and got everyone to sign them, and probably half of them are going to go, we're not going to sign it anyway. How do you again just push through that and go, hey, I'm just going to be better than the rest of them?
No, so I didn't. There's probably only 3 companies I actually pitched the cordless terminology to. The rest of them, I just looked at what products they had, the reliability of what their reviews were, and then the first message I sent to all of them is, hey, are you open to a new product? What's it going to cost? And basically 80% of them said no, because, they don't want to take on timeline stuff and outside of what they're doing. And they usually just go, oh, just buy this product. It's good. It's like, it's not what I'm looking for. So I got down to about 3 companies where I said to them, they sort of gave me an answer of, we're open to it, but we're not really open to it. What are you thinking?
What countries are we in?
China.
All 3?
All China, yeah.
Is this email or phone?
Email.
All email at this point in time?
Yeah, email and WhatsApp. So communication-wise, they're pretty good. It's only 2 hours behind our time, so it works out well. But yeah, there was the one company that I'm still with now, worked with them for about 3 years.
Geez, you lucked that out. The one you chose at the start, you are with.
And still with them.
What a blessing.
Exactly.
Have you been over there?
Not yet.
Really? I find that incredible. Although it's been hard to get there.
Exactly. With not getting into it, but, COVID and the political stuff with that, it's not 100% a safe time to go. My manufacturer's in Shenzhen. So it's in mainland China, essentially, which I am planning on going there eventually one day.
Okay, so you found them. What got you across the line with them? Price, communication, quality?
Well, I pitched them, I want to make this product, and, they were able to make a 3D rendering of what I had an idea of. And we just went back and forth. So, it took me 3 months to find the manufacturer once I knew they were the one. Over a 9-month process, 9 to 10 month process, we went over. So we had 3 prototypes made.
At what point are you handing over money to these guys to do the design, to do the 3D rendering?
Firstly, we made a 3D mold, so a 3D printed mold, which I didn't have to invest money into. Where you invest money is the mold of the actual product, because once they have the plastic molding of like the shape, they just mass produce it. So I said to them, can we 3D mold it first, with a 3D printer, which was free. And then I tested a few samples of other products they had, but I wasn't happy with it. It still wasn't a cordless charger, but I wanted to make sure there was reliability in their other products. That's where I first put them to the test, because I think I sampled about 6 of their products, which were power banks with cords with different designs. but I wanted to make sure, they're reliable.
They're good. At least they're good. With cords, they're good.
Well, if I bought 6 of them and 3 of them aren't working, they're not worth my time. So
they happily send them over to you?
Yeah, so I paid for them, paid for the sample, couple, probably $200 or something like that. And then once they knew like I was willing to pay, that's when I said, hey, this is the design I'm thinking.
Are you relying on them for design? What is that person? Is it an industrial designer or
It's a product designer.
Product designer. Are you relying on them or have you got one here?
I relied on them. So they had they have a full design team, the manufacturer I work with. I mean, they have, I think, like 200 employees. So they're pretty sizable company.
Small for China.
Yeah. Small, yeah, in a sense. But, for us, it's pretty large. They would send a design over. I would critique it, say, I'm thinking, change this. And I would just hand draw what I was looking for. It's the easiest way of conveying to them over the language barrier.
Literally hand draw.
Just hand draw it. I just said, this is, I'd outline the shape of my phone and then just draw to the size I wanted and then just the different dimensions. And I actually have photos of the first original drawings.
Oh, how fantastic. Cool. How do you know? So there's a lot of trust on both sides here. Mm-hmm. You've handed over this idea. You are now working with them. They've given you some free stuff. You bought some of their product. You are working towards arriving at a design you both agree upon, at which point they are wanting, they're thinking they're going to manufacture it. You're hoping they're going to manufacture it. What if they get to the point where you go, it's cost prohibitive? Because you can't in the early stages go, they can't give you a cost until you've sort of designed it.
Yeah, so because I did 3 prototypes with them, so I invested in 2 different molds. So the second mold is the same shape of the current product. It's just we changed the features of it. So it originally had like 1 light on the back. Now we have 4 on the back. So it's easy to see visually the power reserve. Mm-hmm. So the molds cost me $8,000 US per mold. So, it's like
wow.
26,000 Australian.
More.
Yeah, give or take.
Wow.
I can't remember but my initial cost was about 45,000 before I even.
Where's that dough come from?
I put all my savings into it, so I worked 2 part-time jobs.
How are you at this point in time? You're 18 or something,
No, I was 20 at this time.
Okay.
Yeah. Everything I had, I just invested in. I've always been an ideas kid, but I've never followed through with, actually committing money towards something. So I put all my savings into it, and the last little bit of my first order, I loaned it off my parents. And that's how I put all my money, straight into this. But yeah.
So you arrive at this product. It's very Apple-esque.
Yep.
The packaging, the box is also, it's beautiful. I get a little bit, I get a little bit excited, Bailey, when with packaging. I love the way they sort of fall out, and there's a real tactileness to them. For those again playing along at home, if you've ever bought an iPhone, it's just got this lovely solidness about the packaging. Sort of almost this vacuum seal. It's not a vacuum seal. I don't even know what you call it.
It is a vacuum seal.
It is it?
Yeah, you're
pulling it off out of the packaging, and it just looks like an Apple product. So to that point, I don't think I've spoken with anyone who's designed something for Apple. Do you have any communication with Apple? Are there any blueprints on the internet? Are you just looking at their products and going, I need that white, the little LED light buttons on the back need to look like they do on the back of a MacBook or whatever? It's exactly like, bro, Bailey's nodding his head to all this.
You've hit the nail on the head, exactly. So it's funny how I came up with the design. So I was getting frustrated because I couldn't put in my head, I knew what I was looking for, but I couldn't put it into one product. And then one day I was just sitting at the gym and I had my AirPods case next to my phone and I just went, you know what?
There it is.
Something that size, that material would just be, it'd be perfect. So
I can see this sitting in an Apple store.
Well, it's
alongside Belkin.
It's funny you mentioned it because, I did a bit of research and I sort of thought to myself, people buy Apple, one, for the aesthetic. They like to be hands-on with it. Everyone, when there's a new product, they just pick it up and feel it. They go, oh, it's a smooth edge. And it's a real impulse decision because you go, oh my God, that feels such good quality. Yeah. So it's sort of like human psychology. So I said to myself, well, what material is the Apple AirPods case, which it's a polycarbonate plastic. So I just converted that straight to my manufacturer. So I need it to be a polycarbonated plastic same as an AirPods case. And then I said, you know what, if I can create a design and have the Zip Zap not on that and give it to you and said, hey, this is an Apple product, what would tell you it's not an Apple product? Yes. And every single one I showed the first sample, they went, you could tell me this is $200 and it's Apple and I'd believe you. Yeah, I said, perfect. You know,
I'm fascinated with this. I've never manufactured anything, but I do love watching Apple. Jobs is a bit of a hero of mine. Yeah. It's a really interesting question. Take the logo off and is it an Apple product? Yeah. And looking at it, and I'm going to be really picky here, and you call me on it.
Go
but
to
I think
town.
Yeah, good.
Town.
Jobs would never have allowed something so bulky to be designed. He just would have gone back to, what was his name, Jonathan Ivey or whoever the lead designer is at Apple, and said, no, mate, you got to keep going, you got to push, you got to squeeze, it's too big, that kind of stuff. And that's expensive. I get the small is expensive, right? Yep. And I guess you've got to have charge, whatever's in there, lithium or whatever is the stuff. The other thing, this is really picky, Bailey, the little chrome, whatever that silver is on the jack that is for the charger, aluminium, is it a little bit too shiny for an Apple product? Is it a little bit too plasticky looking? Or
no, because, you know, so it's funny you mentioned, like, you know, the bulkiness. So my first product, I can show you a photo of it. It was quarter of the size of that.
Actually, and on reflect, are you going to say that if it's really small, people don't think it's going to hold a lot of charge?
Well, the thing is, it didn't. Like the size of the first one, I can show you. It was about that wide, and
remember this is audio, so
yeah. Well, just you're better.
But it was super small, so you're holding up your car as essentially a smart car key. Yeah. Kind of setup was that small, and
the problem was, yes, the size was, I mean, amazing because it was so small, but the problem was it just doesn't hold enough battery capacity. Got it. And currently in the market, so in the product itself, it has like a AA battery down the bottom, and there hasn't been someone who's innovated.
What do you mean there's a battery?
So it's like a AA battery.
Oh, inside. So you never change. You can't access it.
No. So it's a lithium-ion battery. So that's what powers the product. And it's got a circuit board above it connected to the lightning head that sticks out. But no one has invented a more efficient battery in a smaller size. And that's what Tesla are racing to be the first ones to do it. So Tesla used the exact same size battery that we use in all their cars.
Because I only heard recently, if you look at a Tesla battery setup, it looks like rows upon rows upon rows of AA or AAA batteries.
It is. And they use lithium-ion batteries, exact same, but they just have like 5,000 of them in a car, where we got one of them. So they're trying to innovate a higher capacity battery in a smaller size, but they're spending billions on research.
You'll be doing that soon, brother. Have Apple at any point reached out to you? Do Apple get the shits for being, hey, you're copying us, you're trying to look like one of our... No. Okay, that's interesting. That's good.
I believe they would have seen, you know, I'm trying to be a big presence on LinkedIn. LinkedIn's a massive marketing tool for me, and I definitely can see once in a while, like someone from Apple has viewed your profile, but you don't know, what position they are.
Yeah.
But I'm friends on LinkedIn with like some managers and state managers of Apple, so you never know. But as long as you're not, impeding on any of their patents or trademarks or anything of that perspective, and marketing Apple products, blah blah blah, you have to be very specific in the words you use on your packaging. Like we say, compatible for, not Apple iPhones, blah blah blah. It's
Apple are notorious for changing jacks on their products. Does my head in. I've just bought a new MacBook recently and had to buy a dock, which is just kind of like, really?
It is annoying.
It's ugly and it's inconvenient. I guess one of the big threats to your business, albeit there's still going to be a lot of phones around with this jack, is this, what is this called, a lightning jack that connects it? Is that going to go anywhere? Are they going to launch a new product that...
So it's funny you mentioned that. So there's been early leaks on the new iPhone, which they've finally changed to a USB-C connector head, which is what Android is. Android is USB-C, and the newer models of iPad is USB-C.
Well, that's kind of good in a sense, because then you're just making one product for both platforms.
Is, yeah. And the only reason why they've finally made the change is the EU last year in courts ruled that they're putting a complete ban on Lightning connectors in the EU from 2024. So Apple, were pretty much faced with a decision of, you either change your phones to a USB-C because they were doing it as an environmental incentive to stop the waste, because they said there's apparently, billions of cords that go into landfill. So yeah, Apple supposedly, it's not released yet officially, but the early reports say that it is moving across.
Can you see it in an Apple store one day?
That's the goal.
Yeah, no doubt.
It's funny. So Apple, there's a guy it's a bit of a funny story. A guy from New Zealand created the first wireless charging pad in 2008. So, where you lie your phone on top of it and it charges through it. So he created a prototype out of his house. He patented it globally, and Apple somehow found out about him, and they knocked on his door and they bought his idea out for $100 million US.
Beautiful.
And he didn't sell one product. This is in 2008. So, when the first model of iPhone came out.
Wow.
Apple only made the technology in their iPhone 12, which was 2 years ago. They finally managed.
Where you can put on that little white disc and charge. Yeah.
So it took them, 12 years to develop that guy's concept. But, he was
What was
genius.
the hardest part of the manufacturing process, Bailey?
Probably,
Frustrating, hard.
Well, I've studied property development at university. So self-teaching myself about technology, how circuits work, power circuits. People do engineering degrees for 4 years and they still don't know how to manufacture it. And like a chip, and I'm trying to teach myself through YouTube tutorials and Google searches. So, when the currency or something was off in the prototypes, it's, I had to find out myself, where's the issue? Why is that current getting stopped at a certain point in the circuit? Because if outsourcing that work costs tens of thousands, like it's a very niche profession. It's not many people out there that know how to electrically engineer.
Did you have to reach out at any point to someone in the know, or YouTube was just your best friend?
YouTube's been my best friend.
Isn't it incredible what's on YouTube? Like the minutiae of some of the videos, what they cover, it's brilliant.
It's insane. It's absolutely insane. And I nearly say, like, I learned more from YouTube than my whole education.
No doubt. No doubt.
School and university combined. I know more about, everything through YouTube.
YouTubeversity. They need a word for that.
Yeah.
Tell me, so, okay, you've got to the end of the manufacturing process, you've got the product, it's working, happy days, you put your first order in of how many and how did you sell them?
So the first order was 2,000 units. That was the minimum order my manufacturer
Can you
required.
share the unit cost, or do you want to keep that confidential?
Keep it confidential.
Fair enough.
My first order cost me 26,000.
You just go by the unit?
24,000 USD. So
$20.
yeah, it's under $20.
Under $20, yeah.
It was a shitload of money up front.
Yeah.
Was so much money, and I fought with them like, come on, 1,000 units is so many units, and they're like,
They're laughing at you.
It's like, mate, that's like a penny.
Yeah,
And I'm
yeah.
like,
It's one street in the Chinese suburb from which they come.
yeah. So they didn't want a bar of it, and because I'd been working with them for 13 months, they said, you know what, it's 2,000 units, and they gave me a bit of, they gave me a heads up
And
early.
they did the packaging?
The packaging was included in the price.
It was all part of it?
Yeah.
Okay, so you get 2,000 boxes of the Zip Zap Charger land at your home.
Yep, straight at home.
Any pre-sales?
So we originally got 200 sent to us first out of the big, because it came in, so they come in boxes of 50. So we had 40 boxes, but I said, I just want something in front of me early so I can start showing people. So we got 200.
That must have been an awesome day when they arrived.
Over the moon. Absolutely over the moon. 13 months into it, and finally the finished product in front of me. So once the 200 products arrived at my house in Mount Coolum, Mum was just like to me, why don't you launch tonight? Like to family and friends. You have it here. What's stopping you from selling? I'm like, you know what? True. You good point. And I'd been posting on my social media about the journey, I'd been diving into and, sort of hyping it up, like stay tuned sort of stuff. And I launched on like a random Tuesday night, and my friends and family, purchased, I think, about 50 to 100 of them within the first.
Just put on Insta or Facey and.
Well, I've got a website made. We use Shopify, so I got my website made, and then just launched, and people started ordering online. There's a photo of me with about 30 odd orders, and I was the biggest smile ever.
What a great feeling!
Biggest smile on my face ever, and then it sort of went insane after that. So I worked with a local PR company here on the Sunshine Coast. Because I said, you know what, I want to try and market this, that it's it's a good product and it's new to the market. There's never been something like this put before.
Did they get it?
Not at the start. Like the hardest part of our original marketing was saying we're a cableless charger. People are just like, what's a cableless charger? You show them a photo or you have it in front of them, and it's like, oh, no cable. Yeah. Like it's a They go, surely that's around. I'm like, look online and you tell me.
Yes.
And, people end up biting their words and they go, wow, we're surprised there's nothing like it. But so with this PR company, paid like $800 to just do a local press release. And these girls were amazing. And so I was able to get on 7 News, Win News, ABC Radio, Sunrise, Mix FM radio station, and one other. I can't remember, but Sunrise was the enormous one.
And from what I've read, I think you said you got an article early days in the Courier Mail, which is the local paper out of Brisbane. Is that the article that then spiked, let go on all the other?
No, so the Sunrise is what really elevated us. So there's a segment on Sunrise called Sam Mack's Plugapalooza, which was sort of like a COVID incentive where they were shouting out small businesses to try help people through COVID. So they do 5 people on a segment, but they don't tell you what order you're in. So it's just they randomly go, and now to Bailey. And they said to us in the pre-script, you have 15 seconds to pitch your business. That's all you get, 15 seconds. And it's like, what do you say?
What did you say?
Well, it was funny because it was my 21st birthday weekend. So I was away on the Gold Coast with a group of my best friends. Partying my life away.
This time with a charged phone?
Yes, with a charged phone. And my mum was the one who actually called me on a Saturday, which was my 21st birthday. I've been drinking all day. She called me at like 4 p.m. She's like, Bailey, get your S together.
No.
Like, you're going on Sunrise Monday morning, like 5:30 a.m. or 6 a.m. live. Like, get your shit together. I'm like, oh my God, like I was, been drinking.
Had to go to the studio or they just...
No, because it was COVID. So it was on Zoom.
Yeah.
But she's like, you're going live 6 a.m. Like, get your shit together. And I was meant to stay on the Gold Coast till the Monday. And I was like, oh my God. And all my friends were like, what? And I was like, I'm going on Sunrise. So had to end, the Saturday night we partied, and then the Sunday had to leave a day early to go back to Brisbane. And anyway, I was the 5th out of the group to go, and they just cross over to you at any time. Like, he'll be chatting and he's like, all right, and now to you, Bailey. And it's like 15 seconds, go. And you could see the other people, like, they're nervous because it's, it's hard to sell anything in 15 seconds. But luckily I was the last out of the group and I actually got 2 minutes of airtime. And I was able to speak with the Couch crew, which was Koshi, and a few other big celebrity names. I couldn't see them on my screen, but they were talking to Sam Mack. Sam Mack was talking to me. But on the TV replay, they were talking directly to my face, which was just incredible. Yeah. And they played my promotional video over when I was speaking, and they didn't do it for any of the other 4. So we sold 1,600 units across all of Australia from that 2-minute segment.
Wow. In a 24-hour period, I'm guessing. Yep. Website held up.
Yeah. Thank God for that.
Thank you, Shopify.
Yeah. My goal for the year, sell 2,000 units for the whole year. I'm ecstatic. And we did it within the first 6 weeks.
How long ago is this? Just give me a sense of timing.
We launched in September of 2021.
2021, yeah.
By October, mid-October, we'd already sold out of the whole 2,000 units. And it was just like...
How many units you sold to date?
We're just about to hit 8,000.
Brilliant. That's 2020. Sunrise was 2021,
yep.
late in the year.
Mm-hmm.
So we're now a year and a half past that.
Yeah.
Is that a good run rate?
It's funny because it's the highs and lows of marketing. You know, I thought I had such a skyrocketing start that that's what I thought I could achieve out of PR.
It'll now be 2,000 units a day or nothing.
Exactly. And, you know, my expectations were, you know, who wouldn't want to tell this story? Like we'd cleared 6 figures in 6 weeks, which is what's been going viral at the moment. But we actually did 6 figures in 3 days from that sunrise thing. It's like, if you really want to put it down, it was 3 days where it just went bang, 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 and we sold out of everything.
You felt that did things slow down?
Yeah, so
you had to get more product.
So from that response of how fast everything sold out, you know, all our inquiries are blowing up. Like, we want to order more. It's saying sold out. So my second order was 7,000 units, which we 3.5x'd our first order. Basically, all the money we made, we reinvested in stock because we were coming into Christmas.
Yeah, right.
And we were like, God, if we've gone crazy in September, what's Christmas going to be like? And so we worked with the same PR company. You know, they said, yeah, we can get you, you know, onto more shows. You know, we'll put out another pitch, see who's interested. And I'm like, now we have the results to back the story. So now it's like, it should be a good selling story. And not one company picked it up.
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me because all of a sudden it becomes a business story. The consumer doesn't care about results. They just care about a product that solves a problem.
Yep.
And you'd had your one shot and you'd seen the power of it, but it's old news, right?
Exactly. And with Christmas period marketing, you know, the expense rate is like tenfold. Yep. You know, you get the big players coming in and spending way over small businesses. Out of the water. So it sort of floods out the little players, which I didn't know. You know, I was a 20-year-old experimenting in the market.
So you're sitting on 7,000 units.
Mm-hmm. So coming into Christmas, we had a good snowball effect from those PR stunts. You know, we sold, I believe, roughly about 1,000 in the 3 months, like November, December, January. Mm-hmm. And then after January, we were sort of stuck in a situation of like, well, what do we do now? You know, like the PR people, we just put, I think, like $5,000 into another press release.
5,000?
Yeah, about $5,000.
One press release?
No, well, with the company I was working with, that was their fees of like $5,000 for, I think, like 2-3 months worth of.
Okay, getting it out there.
Your social media handling, all that sort of stuff. And it achieved zero, absolutely zero. So $5,000 down the drain, which was, you know, more money than ever for me. And it sort of, you know, I was stuck in a spot of, well, what do I do for marketing now? So tried the route of social media marketing, and surprisingly, we just didn't have a breakthrough at all with social media marketing.
It feels like a classic product. I get sucked into these Instagram bloody video ads, you know, where they do some funky video and the next minute something rolls up the road. I don't remember buying that, but the video was good.
It's shocking because, you know, everyone I've spoken to, they go, oh, you're doing ads on Facebook, Instagram. And I said, yeah, we've spent to date probably about $25,000 on social media marketing over the 16 months we've been in business. And we've just never had a breakthrough. You know, I've worked with 2 different media agencies and, you know, the return on investment just never came. But surprisingly, with traditional media, we've had just a fantastic response, and that's where the latest wave of.
Yes, okay. So when you say traditional media, we're talking TV, radio, press,
radio,
above the line, as they call it.
Especially TV. TV's been our biggest breakthrough by far.
As in publicity, not ads?
We did run a TV commercial ad.
Really?
Yeah, here in the Sunshine Coast.
Right. Cheap.
Yeah, it's a lot cheaper than metro market.
But it's about numbers. I mean, you get what you pay for. I mean,
exactly.
It's relative.
Yeah. So Win Network, we did about a month campaign into Christmas, the Christmas that just passed.
And that worked?
Yeah, we did well.
Uh-huh.
We did well. We got more than double what we invested. So
then you went back, because I found you you'd been recently on the Today Show or the Sunrise again, haven't you, where you're actually in the studio on the couch with the guys.
Yeah, so the last wave of media in the last 2 weeks has just been absurd.
And what was the new story?
So a Career Mail journalist reached out to me on LinkedIn, and she said, we're doing stories on successful side hustles, or side hustles that have become successful, sorry. And she's like, do you mind if I interview you? And I said, of course, free PR, of course. And I was sort of curious, like, where did you see my name in this sort of fix? We're sort of jumping timelines a bit. All of last year, we tried different PR stunts, media stunts, agencies. It was that roller coaster you mentioned to me, highs and lows. And, we didn't really have a breakthrough. So, yeah, they approached me. We did a 20-minute phone call. She wrote up a story and she's like, all right, I'll let you know when it's posted. We're aiming for this Friday. The interview was like on a Tuesday. I said, sweet, thank you for the opportunity. She didn't post it that Friday and I was sort of like, what's happening? And she said she sent it to her editor and it's up to them when they want to publish it online. And a week went past, nothing. I said, I'm not going to hassle them to, why is it not up? And then the following week, so it'd been 10 days at this stage, on a Tuesday morning about 6 a.m., I just hear my phone just binging. And I have notifications on our Shopify store.
Nice.
And it was just binging. And I was like, is a family member in trouble or something? My family lives half in WA, half in here, and I have family in Sydney, all over Australia. So I was like, is one of our family group chats blowing up or something? Like, what's the go? And I like rolled over, looked at my phone. It was like 20 sales at 6 a.m. And I was just like, what? I couldn't, brain fog, couldn't understand what was happening. And then I realized, the Career Mail article must be up. And it was. So, we got about 50 sales from that, which is like, I was so happy because that's, 50 more sales in a day is great. And then the sequence of events were the next day, the Daily Mail reposted the same story, but rewrote it a little bit. Basically the same story. They never contacted me. Then the Today Show approached the journalist who wrote the story and asked to pass my contact details onto them. And then the Today Show producers sent me a text message like, hey, this is from the Today Show. We want to know if you're open for an interview. And I'm like, absolutely.
Yes.
And I kind of...
With no real no new news. No, just a reminder, hey, the Zip Zap's out there. And
well, the original story was just successful side hustles. Yes. And the storyline they went with
they went with the side hustle story.
Yeah, and the headline they went with was uni student made 100,000 in 6 weeks. And that was their selling headline. And, I didn't have any say in what they wanted to pitch. I gave them the full spiel like I am now. Yep. I said, it's up to you how you want to do it. But that's the headline that has come about.
One of the learnings there, Bailey, for those listening, is that you never underestimate the power of getting an article in even a local paper or a metro paper and it's a bit like this podcast. I know there are journalists listening and that's where they're getting their stories. Everyone's got to get content from somewhere. Yeah. So a little article in your local paper could well be read by a metro journalist, a TV chief of staff from the Today Show who's been on this show recently, Joshua Del Pozo, and they're looking for content. They're looking for good stories.
Always. And it's funny because I asked the journalist, how did you get my name? And she said, you're in our system from when you went on Sunrise.
That's it, mate.
It's a year later that my name was saved, in the pot. So, the Today Show is funny because I was talking with them. I said, I have to somehow, I think it would be such a better selling point if I could do it with the crew, because on Zoom call, I couldn't show them how it'd work. And I said to myself, it would work that much better as a selling point if I was able to get into the studio. So the producers, how I pitched to him, I was like, could I, get product to the host, so they can play with it and do their live feedback. He's like, how fast could you get product to Sydney by Saturday morning? It was a Thursday at this stage. And I said, mate, I would jump the next flight in 30 minutes with nothing to deliver it. And he's like, well, if you're willing to hand deliver it, you might as well do the interview live on the couch with the crew. And I'm like,
done.
Perfect.
Fantastic. Good on you for doing that. Many wouldn't.
I didn't push the boundaries, but I said, throwing them an incentive, they caught on. They're like, that would be a better story.
So what was your ROI from being on the Today Show?
So it cost me 0. and we did
Plane flight.
60, or the plane flight, $200.
Yeah.
But we did about 60 grand in the last 4 days.
Great.
4 days from the show.
the show.
Yeah. But where it went insane was when I was flying to Sydney, the notifications are off. As soon as I landed,
Ding, 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 ding.
well, one, sales are still going hot from the 2 Courier Mail and Daily Mail articles. It got posted in the UK. And I just went, what? And one of my mates sent it to me. So I got posted on The Sun, The Mirror, Lad Bible. In total, there was 9 UK and European, or UK, 9 UK
Media outlets.
media outlets. Got posted in Ireland, Denmark, Poland, Ukraine, and like Czechoslovakia or somewhere.
This is hundreds of thousands of dollars of column centimetres or media exposure.
Beyond. And I haven't spoken to a person, not one.
Yeah, that's right.
Which is like,
Scalability of PR.
and that's what shocked me. It's like, that one opportunity and taking that one interview has led to all of this again.
Can you sell over? Can you deliver overseas? You
So
can't.
that's the hard thing. So at the moment, we have a patent on the product, and it's for Australia and New Zealand. And I have launched an international patent. We've filed it because my biggest goal for this year is to get into the US market.
Yeah, no doubt.
And I always thought, Europe's a bit of a bigger beast because, there's so many more countries. It's not like a single country like America. So it was sort of my next roadmap step.
Are you protected from copycats?
Yeah, so we have
you
a
got
patent here in Australia. Yeah.
How long does that last for?
You renew your patent every 2 years, I believe. I could be wrong, but it's
I want to check that.
yeah, or maybe 10 years, I think, once it's filed.
Please check that, Bailey.
Oh, it's lodged.
Okay. So does that means no one can come up with a design like this, or no one can come up with a cordless iPhone charger?
No, so we went around the design. So there's two patents. There's a provisional patent, which hones in on design aspects, so more so, how it looks. And then there's a standard patent, which is technology. Every power bank is give or take the same thing. Bits and bots are different, but the design is what we honed in. So there is one other company that I saw in America that had a cableless product, and it was only till after I manufactured, about 4 months in market, that I actually found them. So it was lucky that I'd already lodged my patent. I lodged my patent before I launched on that Tuesday night. So we honed in on the bracket aspect because we said, no one has a bracket cable product. And we filed that, before we launched. We are protected here in Australia, and we have submitted our application. It's a PCT, which is, there's 153 countries under that application. And 12 months in, then you specify which out of the 153 you want complete rights in.
Got it.
So we have lodged that about 4 months ago. But yeah, we are protected. But the hard thing is, if Apple tomorrow creates the same product, are you really going to take them to court over it? They're the Reserve Bank, is what I say.
Yeah, that's right.
Is it worth it?
The answer is
Probably
no.
not.
The answer is no. So tell me, I like the custom branding offer you've got on your website, by the way. I think that's very clever. Is it working? So what we mean by that is companies can buy in bulk and put their logo on it. Yeah. Is that working for you?
So it's funny you just mentioned that because after that media outlet, we went to a low because we weren't getting sales. Our social media marketing wasn't working, and it was really frustrating period because we were spending, trying to get, more sales, but we weren't getting anything back. And one of my family friends who's a travel agent, she does travel for big companies, like corporate company. She just said like, oh, wouldn't it be cool if I could put my logo on it? And I just said, that's such a good idea.
Yeah.
So I just put it forward to my manufacturer like, hey, so our Zip Zap on the front of the product is a screen print. I said, are you able to do logos and different colors, designs, fonts, patterns?
Anything you want.
And they said, yeah, we could probably do that. So I was just like, oh my God.
So have you thought of going to like promo companies, merchandise companies?
Yeah, so we have. So from custom branding, we've sold about 2,500 units to date from that. So that is what, our first order of custom branding was 500 units from 2 gaming companies, Aristocrat and IGT, 2 biggest global gaming companies for pokey machines. Yeah. But, you know, a 500 unit order when we were doing, you know, maybe 20 a month at that stage because we weren't just selling anything. I was like, oh my God, finally some sales.
It feels like the sales cycle of Zip Zap is quite hilly. There are peaks, there are high peaks, and there are, I don't know if they're low troughs. Have you got just a consistent e-com sort of off the website? Are you selling 20, 30, 100 a day, or is there?
It does. It's seasonal. So, you know, after Christmas, January, February, March is, you know, it's quiet because everyone's back at school, spent everything over the break. No one's, you know, looking to spend money. So that's always a quiet period I've found, January, February. But it stagnates, you know. We might have a quiet month on online sales, but a huge month in custom branding. So I'm not too worried about online sales because we're still making, you know, good money. But then it might be the opposite. We might make a lot of online sales and not so much custom branding.
So what is the plan, Bailey? Is it online sales, or is it to get it into? Who did you say you're in? You're into IGA locally, a few IGA stores locally because you know the owner, the local supermarket chain. Mm-hmm. What would be the ideal? A JB Hi-Fi or a?
That's funny. You're literally taking the words out of my mouth. Have you researched?
Yes, I have.
No, it's
In fact, you're not going to believe it, but I've actually invented something very similar. It's called the Zip Charger.
Oh,
I hope
really?
you don't mind.
Yeah. I'll see you on court. No, it's I went down a rabbit hole of retail stores. You know, I was like, online sales aren't working. Maybe an incentive to get our sales back up and booming is retail stores. Because everyone said, do you sell, you know, anywhere other than online? I said, no. And I was like, okay, well, now I need to look into retail. So over about a 3-4 month period in the middle of the year, so from about March to, you know, August, started, you know, pitching out to people on LinkedIn from Officeworks and JB Hi-Fi until I got the contact number of the product manager for electronics at Officeworks. Nice. I sent him, you know, some samples. The best thing is he went on a long service leave holiday and he took it with him and he said he used it every day.
Yeah.
And I said, mate, that is the best news I've ever heard. Yeah. And he said he absolutely loved it, thinks it should be in every Officeworks store. He said, you know what, he has connections into JB that he thinks, you know, this could work there as well.
So that's the big move going forward.
That's what I thought it was. And then I went down the rabbit hole of the contracting, and then they gave me the contract which said their margins, and it's I'm not going to disclose what it is, but it's
nothing, not worth it unless massive volume, and even then
so selling 600 in store was equivalent to selling 30 on my website.
Wow.
So I'm not going to say what the margins are, but
don't need to, mate.
You can understand.
That's disappointing, isn't it?
Exactly. And you know,
it's greed.
Exactly. You know, it's why do you demand so much for, you know, just putting it on a shelf? And, you know, you look at it in the power bank market, which is fascinating, is there's only 2 or 3 big players, and so Signet, their business model is put as many products on the shelf in as many stores globally. Yeah. So they're in 260,000 stores. And, you know, you walk into JB Hi-Fi, they have 40 products on the shelf. So their numbers work out.
It's volume. It's volume.
They're a volume game. Same with Belkin, same with Mophie.
So you're back to online, e-com.
So back to square one again.
Branded, you know, corporate stuff. You've got Android coming, so that's going to inject an entire whole new market into play.
Yeah, so our biggest, going to your original question, our biggest thing moving forward is to move into the American market. I think it's a lot more opportunities over there. Sometimes it's, you know, it's case by case. It's a good product that might not work in Australia, but it might boom in America, and vice versa. Yep. You can't really compare it to any other company. So yeah, setting up over there is our biggest task. We're looking to, you know,
in an e-commerce form, so again, you're not going to be knocking on.
But we will try the retail chain over there.
Why would that be any different? The numbers are going to be a lot different.
Well, it could be different percentages. You know,
really?
So
probably less.
Well, so Bunnings, I've had conversations with Bunnings. Can't disclose numbers, but they're significantly less than what JB and Officeworks offered. You know, Bunnings is a home and hardware store, but they we're still in talks now, but it's it's not a product that you would think would sell in Bunnings. But they offered me an original quote for 50,000 units. Officeworks offered me 600 units. So, yeah.
You are learning at a very fast rate, Bailey. I think it's a great story, mate. What advice would you give to young people? What are you now, 20?
I'm 22.
So what's your advice for young kids trying to, bring an idea to life?
I always say to people, have a go. My story stemmed, and I've touched on it in the past. So when I was in grade 10 at the school I went to, I'm not going to name drop them, I studied economics at school. And the teacher at the time, one of our assignments was to create a business, make a business plan, and present it to the class. So that's where I was over the moon, because I'm like, this is my opportunity to really hone in on something that I really find I'm passionate about. I've always been an ideas kid, fascinated how things are made. And so I did this presentation, and the teacher at the time told me, you shouldn't start a business. You don't.
That old chestnut.
Yeah. They're like, you don't understand, what you're talking about, And at grade 10, he crushed my soul in a sense. And I just thought to myself over a period of time is, how can you say to a kid that he has no idea what he's doing when you yourself has never done the process?
Yes.
You know what I mean?
That's right. Yeah.
And so I walked away from that, and I've always just had this fire of
good on you.
I'm going to prove him wrong. And I said, eventually one day I'm going to get in a position where, I'm going to back myself. And it just so happened that when I thought of this product, I thought that was the one that is the one. So I always say to myself, have a go. You don't hear too many kids at school saying, school really encouraged me to step out of my comfort zone. They always want to, confine you to what is the normal, work for a company, do the 9 to 5, don't take risks. That's the biggest messaging I got out of school is don't take risk. And, risk, everything's a risk.
Everything is, mate.
Starting a new sport.
Yep.
That's a risk. You don't know
Walking out the road's a risk.
Exactly. So...
Well, don't walk out in the road because there are cars, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, of course. So...
that's great advice, buddy. I'm going to encourage everyone to go and buy one. I'm looking at your website. It's zipzapchargers.com.
Correct.
But it's without an R or with an R? Because
with an R.
Okay. On your packaging, it doesn't have an R. I hate to identify...
No, it does. Zip Zap Chargers. Oh, I see what you mean.
See what I mean?
EIS, yeah.
Is that wrong?
That might be wrong. Actually, that you mentioned it.
Sorry to identify
Chargers.
That's all right. Mate, you might need to register that as well. Yeah. Redirect it. Zip Zap Chargers with an R.com. And please, everyone listening, go and buy one because they're bloody awesome and they actually solves a big problem for a lot of business owners, particularly if you're out on the road all the time and doing stuff. Well done, brother. It's worth a high five, I reckon.
Thank you.
Good on you, Bailey. Thanks, brother.
Ta.
Well, there you go, team. Zip Zap Chargers, Bailey Paige. What an absolute superstar. I don't know about you, but at 20 years of age, I was having big nights out, but I certainly wasn't waking up the next morning inspired to invent anything. Well, that's not entirely true. Maybe a hangover cure. Yeah. In fact, I think numerous occasions I thought, what could cure this? What can I invent that would cure the hangover? I actually even own the domain hangovertip.com. Nothing on it. If you want to buy it, put in an offer. All offers considered. Hey, go and buy, speaking of offers and things, go and buy one of these Zip Zap Chargers and help a young Aussie entrepreneur grow. You'll find them at zipzapchargers.com. And I'd love to know what caught your attention. Really would. Something you're going to implement in your business? A little aha moment maybe from a chat with Bailey? Give me a buzz on 0480 015 150 and let us all know. I'll play it on an upcoming episode, most likely. So be sure to leave your business name for a bit of gratuitous self-promotion. Righto, it's time for you to take action on what you've learned because ideas remain exactly that, without action. If you'd like to support the work I do for small businesses, please do. And want even more of me, then check out my exclusive business owner membership at patreon.com/marketing podcast. And membership starts at a tax-deductible $8.50 a month, no lock-in contracts. In the coming weeks, we do a deep dive with one of Australia's most prolific and successful bloggers. Plus, I'll share a very emotional interview I did with a butcher and his wife from a small town in Tuscany. Oh, bring a tear to a glass eye, that chat. If you enjoyed today's episode, please hit the subscribe button on your podcast app where you'll find 635 more chats with successful founders. Big thanks to Alex Amster for stitching the marketing gold together as per usual, and to our in-house rock star Lockie Doley for the music bed. Most importantly, a big thank you to you for tuning in. You are the wind beneath my wings. Thanks so much for making the time. I really appreciate it. May your marketing be the absolute best marketing. Bye for now.